Okay then, guys, welcome to the 5th episode of Gladieditors, and the results are in for our first picture with our mascot Editus. So it's a very, very important photo, and well, not as many of you voted this time, but still we've got a clear winner, and it is actually it's neither Sam this time. It's Ryan who's won with 6 votes to 3.
Thank you.
So Ryan, I mean, this is is this your second time winning now?
Yes, yeah, second time. Yeah, I'd like to, put my crown back on, and I'd like to thank all of my fans for this, and I'd like to do my little acceptance speech right now. I'd like to thank my mum, my dad. So thank you very much, and that concludes my speech.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 5 of Gladieditors. This week we're going to be editing my photo of my friend Olivia down at East Coast Road in Singapore. So let's get to the edit. See you there.
This is my edit of your picture, Sam, and I wanted to try something different with this crop because I've done the 10x8 and I've done the square crop now on this channel. So I thought I might go with something really, really thin and wide, kind of like Ryan's picture last week. But I initially thought, what if I just did it like just on her eyes and nothing else? But then I thought, no, because her hair's so interesting and everything. And then I thought, okay, what if I just crop just on her face? We'll put it off at the angle so you can get a bit of the background in and make it feel a little bit more, I don't know, like introspective or really in your face than just looking straight into her eyes. But it just felt a bit too close in the end, and because she's got a lot of hair and it's really, really interesting and photogenic, I wanted to try and include that. So then that's why I went for the standard 10x8 crop in the end. But as you can see, when I just finished with this now, it just feels too tight. That did, and then because I still feel that's too tight because you're getting like a bit of her shoulders cut off and then still some of her hair. And so unfortunately, guys, I end up basically going with the same crop I did last week, which was the I just fast forward through a little bit, the square crop. Just simply because I couldn't decide anything else really in like the 5 minutes I had, and it works, it shows her face, gets all her hair in, shows a bit of the background. It's simple, and yeah, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's proportionate. It's a square. So I by this point, I felt like I'd messed around too much, just trying to choose a crop and needed to get editing. So my ambition here was just to try and get like a nice soft looking edit. So that's why I start by lifting the shadows, just to try and make the light not seem too hard on her face. And thought about playing with the texture, but I immediately thought that was just bad move. Wasn't making her skin look flattering in any way. Actually taking the texture down a bit and the clarity down, just to try and smooth out her skin a bit more, even though it's obviously she's got I don't know whether there was a makeup artist on the shoot or whether she just did her own, but obviously everything looks quite flawless there. So there wouldn't really be much need to touch this up in Photoshop, I wouldn't have thought. Perhaps you have more to say on that, Sam. So then once I've got like the kind of shadows lifted enough in conjunction with the highlights, you might be shocked, but I included a gradient from the top right. And
ooh, risky.
Yeah.
Right.
And always from the top right, really, especially in this picture where, because you've got the left-hand side of her face is more exposed, that really makes more sense whether you want the light to fall onto her face. So that's why I chose it from that side. And again, on that first gradient, I warmed the temperature up. Again, that orange kind of hue to it matches her hair, so I thought that kind of helped with the catch light on her hair a little bit. So I thought it kind of just accented the photo nicely. The other gradient I've added, I've not actually changed anything to do with the exposure. I just simply made it more blue, just to basically make sure there's a bit of a contrast between one side of the photo and the other, just to make it feel a bit more dynamic. And then just touching up the tone curve slightly. I don't really ever do much with the tone curve, just simply just touch it up a little bit, just to, again, lift the shadows a bit more, but also just lift the highlights a bit as well, just so it feels there's a bit more pop and a bit more punch overall to the picture, which is why then I go into contrast here, just to try and make sure that, the colours are all bedded in and the blacks are still kind of dark, but then overall the midtones and the shadows are still nice and soft, and the exposure is a bit higher on them. Taking down the yellows didn't really interfere with the hair much, so that's why I just decided to touch with the oranges a little bit, and then just taking the saturation down, took a bit too much warmth out, so that's why I then lifted the vibrance, just to try and keep the overall the tone and the colours, but maybe just take a bit more warmth out the photograph. And then I just simply finish here by going into the hue and luminance tabs, just to try and get the kind of overall ambience I wanted, really, because I didn't want the photograph to feel too vibrant, but at the same time I wanted it to still, I didn't want it to be like black and white in any stretch of the imagination. So it's just trying to get that right balance between some colour but not too much colour to just distract you. And I feel like those muted tones that I kind of, just in that few seconds I played around with, kind of worked. And then this is the photograph I've ended up with, really. So, what did that took me 5 minutes in the end, but yeah, I'm fairly happy with it, considering I didn't know what I was doing with it for the first 3 minutes or so. So yeah.
Classic sound.
Well, you only put one gradient on it today. I was quite surprised.
No, two actually.
He did put two. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He went for like the subtle blue in the bottom left.
Still, only two. That's not a lot for you.
That's modest. That is
actually like 9 or 10.
Yeah, but with the edit, I like first, Sam, I love the photograph. I think it's really good. With the edit though, the only thing that I'm getting distracted with is like the lack of colour in the bottom left-hand side. I feel like I know what you tried to do with the light and the gradient coming in from the top right, but I don't know, something's telling me like the bottom left needs something. You did put a gradient on it and then you darkened it down. I quite liked it when you put that lighter gradient on, because you could see more definition in her hair in the lower the lower left. That's the only thing I'm getting distracted with your edit, is it's almost like the printers ran out of colour as it's gone further down.
Sure.
Other than that, I like it. Yeah, a square crop. I wouldn't even thought of a square crop for this, because of the background is already quite panoramic. You've really just focused in right on her and her hair. But yeah, it's just that colour tone of the colour change.
I mean, I could have lifted up the exposure a bit more down there.
I know what you tried to do. I know what you tried to do. You tried to have the light source coming from behind her top right-hand side, and naturally that shadow on the bottom left would fade away into darkness. But just when you edited it and you brought the exposure up on that gradient, I really liked it. I
should have left it there. I actually liked it too. I don't know why I didn't leave it. Oh well.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I'm like Ryan, I probably wouldn't have thought about the square crop. I think even when I kind of shot this photo, because I shot it in like a landscape format, I think I kind of just tried it and then kind of went like, oh no, I'm just going to turn it that way. But I quite like doing it from this way, because it means like when I show my edit, like I obviously go for like a vertical crop, but I go really tight, and it kind of allows that, rather than me just taking it that way. It gives me like a bit more like freedom in how to place it. But I do like the gradient coming in from the top. Her hair is in this one specific range of color where it's brown, but it's like brown, like that it interferes with the oranges and the red tones. So if you try and use any of those curves or hue saturation, like, color shifting it or like adding saturation, luminance, those colors really affect it. And the amount of times I've edited her hair from like when it's really brown to go really like ginger, or you take it from like when it's a little bit lighter and then you make it really like dark brown. It's really, her hair is so difficult to kind of get right, and her hair is crazy. And then the only other thing, like, and you can't really do this in Lightroom because it's just so strenuous. It's so much easier in Photoshop. The only thing I don't like about the photo is just there's loads of little flyaways across her face.
Yeah.
So you get like one hair in her eye, you get one like across her forehead. Again, it's by the beach. It's like really hard. It's windy. It's just going to happen. But yeah, but no, other than that, I really like the image. It's really worked well with a square crop. And you've done pretty much the same thing that I think I went for, and just went for that like nice soft beauty look.
Mm-hmm.
And just bringing out some nice details, but like a really bright face.
What size like softbox did you use for it?
Do you know what? I think I shot this natural light.
You can definitely see in her eyes that there's
too much highlight. There's too much highlight. I think I had a. I remember actually. No, sorry. I do remember how I took this photo. I had a naturally made sandbag because I had sand around me. So I got like three. I got 3 carrier bags, and then weighted down my light stand. But I just had like, I think a Yongnuo flash in like a tiny little softbox. And that's all I had for like external lighting at the time. And it was like my first time probably playing around with external lighting because I hadn't really done it before. So yeah. I think it was like a small size Godox softbox with a flash, like a simple flash.
Because it's nice because the shadows are still quite
highlight here on those and they're underneath her eye.
Yeah, but the shadows aren't as hard as you think you'd have thought they would be with like a smaller softbox. So it's quite like
you'd think nice. So, but it was also a really overcast day. So the sky was already was very bright. I mean, this was probably about 9-10 o'clock in the morning. And and the shoot was really spontaneous. We just felt like, oh, let's go do a shoot at the beach. And we decided it like the night before. And then the next day we just went out and like shot like this like beach photo shoot just for fun.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah, no, great image.
Okay, so my edit of your photo, Sam. First of all, I went for the crop, which I didn't have a clue how to crop it. I did a little bit of contrast while I was thinking about the crop and how I'm going to do it. Went to darken the blacks down, but you lost all the detail in her hair, so left that pretty much where it is. So then I went to the crop, and I didn't quite know what I was going to do, so I just thought, let's try something different, like a 4x3. That didn't really work. I thought about a square crop or very close to a square. I, again, didn't think it worked. I thought if I changed the horizon line to cut through a bit more, that might look good. And I lined it up with the fence at the top. I thought maybe tried to crop it quite tight, similar to what you've just done, Sam, cropping in on her and not having much background. But then I didn't like it, and I've gone for the much more panoramic crop with quite a lot of angle on it. So change the angle of her so she's leaning in a bit more. And I left it not super panoramic, not really wide, but quite wide, which I felt I liked, and I liked the background, and I wanted some of the definition in the left-hand side of some of the information there. So I've just upped the shadows so you get more detail in her hair. I played around with the colour because like her lips are a nice shade of like pink, red, but I thought like they were a bit overpowering when I knew what I was going to do further down the line with the colours, but it looked fake. Whichever way I went, left or right, it looked fake. So I just made them a slightly more vibrant red. And then I turned her ginger. So I made sure that there was no doubt in it was brown or ginger hair. I went full ginger. And I just edited the other colours. So again, taking out the blues there. I took out the blues for the sky. And I went down onto the reds, made it a little bit more like magazine, really punchy, vibrant, contrasty colours. And kept it there for a while. Went down to the sharpening to check like her skin tone and the texture. Played around with the noise reduction, but I didn't feel like it did much on her skin, the noise reduction. So I had to go, and then I actually realised it was my Mac that was lagging behind. So I was thinking it wasn't doing anything, and then in about 10 seconds, it suddenly gets a lot smoother, which is what I intended to do. And then, yeah, just wanted to tilt her a little bit, as in, towards the camera, but felt like it started dysmorphing her body slightly. So left that, undid that, went back to it. And then I've added a little bit, quite a lot actually, of vignette. Again, I wanted like this punchy, contrasty studio kind of magazine front cover vibes. And then, yeah, felt like I darkened everything down a bit too much. So I've gone back up the exposure quite a bit now. So she's bright. It looks like you've got 5 lights on her. Realised that my Mac is taking longer than what I am. So I kind of have to alter it, wait a few seconds, and then see what I've got. But yeah, this is kind of what I was aiming for. Then I realised that the background was very grey, very dull. You had her, which is very vibrant colours. So what I've done with the blues, I first of all took them out and then decided, nope, I want to go the complete opposite way. It is a beach scene after all, so I wanted bright blue skies, yellow sandy beach. So I've upped the yellows there, but she started to turn yellow. You know what we were saying about the fine line? So I actually took the yellows out completely. So I got the blue sky and got the yellows out, which I just liked it. I did it, and I didn't think it was going to work, but I really like how dropping the yellows, having the blue and almost the grey background worked. It kind of brought her out a lot more. She kind of stood out, but then you've got this moody blue sky, grey kind of almost derelict, with the fence like falling down, almost derelict kind of style. And then, yeah, texture, a little bit of texture. I wanted to kind of get more detail in her hair, but then realized her skin I aged her about 25 years. So I decided to go the other way, take out a texture. Again, my Mac lagged a little bit, so I was waiting to see how that looked. So while I was waiting, I thought I'll just take some of the very, very minor blemishes off her face, because I wanted the light to to shine on her face and take that roughness out, or any kind of blemishes. I wanted it to look front cover ready, which is the way I've gone with this shoot. Yeah, had a little look. Again, I did notice the slight hairs across her face, and again, you take that out in Photoshop, but I wasn't going to bother trying to do anything now. Yeah, and had an overall look at the picture, and yeah, I'm quite happy. Tiny little tweaks with the contrast, and I think I'm pretty much there. So again, I'm just making sure I'm happy with everything. And yeah, this is my final image. So what do you think?
It feels really natural the way you've cropped it. That makes me, when I look at that, it makes me just feel into the picture a lot more, like into the scene overall.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just felt right as soon as you started to play around with that and settled on that. I thought, yeah, that struck a chord with me. So that's really the main thing I see, and then everything else I really like the way it's a bit more, what would you call it, like high key, everything on it. It's it just makes it feel, like you said, a lot more stylized. So it's natural in one way, but then a lot quite stylized in another way. Since you've gone on to edit. Sort of like you said, like to turn her ginger and then to give it that studio magazine vibe. So overall, I think it's really cool. I'd maybe use the vignette a little less than you have, just because the crop brings into a lot of the cool, like the fence panels and stuff in the background now, which with her makes it feel like kind of urban, like your picture last week in a way. Yeah, because you know how like the fence panels like broken and stuff. And I thought that was cool. Yeah. So that'd maybe bring them into the into the fore a bit more. But overall, I think this is much better than mine, put it that way. But yeah, I really like the picture. Honestly, it's good.
That's up to the viewers.
Yeah.
For me, the one thing that you always get me with, especially on my pictures, is the crop, because I really like this crop. Like this gives me like that 90s magazine kind of vibe.
That's it.
Like those 90s ads. For me, the only thing would be just like the face exposure, because I don't know where I think because already the light was already quite kind of like harsh here. So I'm not. It's blended though, right, which is nice, which is the good part. But maybe just like again, maybe if like the highlights are maybe a bit too high. But other than that, like the image is really nice. Like I like the sky, and I really like the way. And again, like the crop, the thing that you do with the crop on my photos especially, I always kind of go like, oh, I wonder if I should have done something like that, because you know when you just don't see it because you've when you take photos, you have like a kind of a vision or a way you're going to edit, or you have a style that only fits this way.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, I would never have thought to. And the thing that you did with the what do you call it, with the parallax, like the distortion.
Yeah.
I liked how you brought it this way, because then her shoulder kind of leans into you a little bit. You did it this way, like towards the viewer, which kind of like straightened her up and like almost kind of like made her straighten up her back, which was really nice. So I thought that was like a really nice touch. Like I really liked that. I feel that was like a really nice touch, because like I never really play with that area, especially not in Lightroom. If I was doing a landscape with buildings or anything like that, then I would, because when you shoot buildings, they kind of shift off left and right, because it's just the way they like your lenses are. But no, I really liked it. I really like this image. I love the contrast, and you didn't actually go too ginger at all. Like I don't know, maybe it's just my monitor compared to Sam's, and Sam's also very colorblind, so God knows what he sees. not picking on you. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I think she still kind of looks quite brunette. It just looks like she's just got a lot of sun in her hair, which is really nice.
That's it. You've been a big factor, like bang, color, get the orange browns really coming out at you at the screen. So
you could see what I was talking about, right? When I was talking about Sam's one about the reds and the yellows or the oranges. They're so close together, and her everything on her body is orange, red, or something or the other. So it's so hard to take out color. But you made a nice move with the yellow, because I think it sometimes it distracts with the sand.
It looked too fake. In my head, I wanted this bright blue sky, yellow beach, and the model posing, and then it just ruined it. It turned her too yellow, turned the sand too yellow, and it just went fake. So no, I was pleasantly surprised, because I didn't know where I was going with the edit when I started. So yeah, I was really surprised. I got to it and finished, and I'm really happy with that. So yeah.
No, I really like it.
Over to you, Sam.
So guys, this is my edit. So basically what I did here was I started with the crop as well, just like I would with any shoot. But then I went different, because I wanted to go for like a more narrow kind of portrait kind of style. Again, like I said earlier, like I would never have really shot this in a landscape orientation. So when I went back into the crop, I just kind of would go back in for like a tighter feel, which you can only really get. So I take out the shoulder, but then there's not really too much happening on that side. So mostly focusing on like her hair. And again, I wasn't too worried about losing it on this side either. So I kind of pushed up the highlights, opened up the shadows so you can see a bit more of her face. And then I opened up the whites, took down the blacks, just to kind of give it that little bit of punchy contrast. I went up on the texture just because she's got these like if you zoomed in on this picture, you can see that there's really nice detail in the photo. And then I took down the clarity to soften it out, basically. So nothing really doing much there, and then took down the saturation. All I did in the tone curve was I just boosted the lights and the highlights, because they're quite, in the tone curve, it's actually more effective, just on like sort of where the cheek is and above her eye. So it's always nice. I took down my oranges. I boosted up my yellows, because I wanted to, I still quite like the yellows sometimes in the hair. But then on the luminance, I kind of bumped up the green, because I wanted to make the tree less noticeable, and I downed the yellows, because if you can tell in like the flyaways that are around her hair, when you take down the yellows, they kind of blend. You can kind of see them more finely. So it kind of just adds to like the volume of the hair, which is a great feature of my model Olivia. So I actually didn't start doing this until Sam started doing it on the show. So I started playing with the sharpening here, and I just did a little bit of masking, kind of trying to like match it a little bit closely, and then just added a bit of luminance just to kind of soften up the skin a little bit there as well. Some minor lens corrections, just because I think I was using a 50mm, and sometimes it barrels out. So, and then just a little bit of a vignette really, and then I kind of just wanted to go back through just to make sure that I was putting in my all, because I know every other week I always kind of like sometimes fall short of the mark. So I was just trying to play with like my exposures, because I was trying to think like, oh, if I could take it down if I could take it down a bit, I was hoping that I could then bring it up somewhere else, like in the shadows or the highlights. And then what I decided to do was basically just get the clone stamp. And you spoke about that the blemishes are very minor, but when I do like normal like beauty stuff and I do a lot of my stuff in Photoshop, it's always nice just to get rid of those little small blemishes, so that like, because most people don't like having like the small little blemishes. If you've got a mole, it's a little bit different. So I just kind of sped it up because it just takes a long time for it to load, because my Mac's a little bit slow, just like yours, Ryan.
Yeah.
And then I went in, I just got a small little radial brush and just dragged it over her eye. And then all I really wanted to do was I had to zoom in just to get like, so I could actually see what I was doing. But I basically just wanted to up the exposure, just so you could get a little bit more light into the eye, because she's got these amazing blue eyes. And then I just changed the saturation, so it was just a little bit more blue. I didn't worry too much about the other side, just because you can't see it because it's kind of hidden by the hair, and there wouldn't be any light coming in from that side anyway. And then I just down the highlights a little bit, and then that's it really. And then I kind of just zoomed in to make sure I was perfect in all my other areas. And I went for just more of like a classic look. I didn't try to do any sort of editorial style. I just kind of wanted to keep it how I would do it, as if before I would take it into Photoshop and kind of really go and do like all like my other retouching, like coloring and just all the skin retouching basically. So yeah, that's my image, just going nice and clean.
Nice. Yeah, I like the detail and the luminance in the eye that you've done. That's something that I like wish I had done. I think that would have been a really good move because obviously that's what you focus on a lot. Like obviously the hair is quite prominent, but the eyes look really good. And I think, yeah, playing around with that was a good move. I liked how you did that. And it does look, like you've said, it's a little bit more, like a little bit brighter. And I think that works well. I liked it when you did the tonal curve as well. That you saw the whole image just change. I liked how you did that. But yeah, yours is definitely more of a natural feel. You know, a natural feel this week, and it's not underexposed. So well done.
For the win, even if I don't win, like that's all I needed. It's not underexposed.
It's really clean, like you said. That would be the word I'd use. Is I mean, yeah, it's just looks good wherever you look. Really, it's all nicely exposed, but there's nothing distracting in the image at all. Maybe it's tight, like cropped a bit tight, but that's just my personal opinion. To be honest, I don't know whether it is, because you've got enough of context around their face, and that's really the main point in the image. But maybe that'd be the only thing I'd say. But other than that, it's just a really, really well, but overall is a really clean looking image. Yeah, definitely.
The only thing I would probably change about the crop is if I had the option to bring down the top a little bit more. Like closer to the head. Maybe that would be the only thing. Either that actually, or even just going for like a really tight crop, like literally just completely just like cut the head off.
I wish I'd done that actually, because she's got such striking eyes. What I should have done, I should have really gone full tilt and done a really like letterbox crop just on her eyes, maybe, or something. Even would have been cool.
Yeah. And then you could show off to all the people how that my image was probably like not focused at all.
I'm sure it was. Yeah.
This one's actually like really like intense,
really
like
sharp. Yeah,
really sharp.
So maybe someone should have done that. Maybe next time one of us can be brave.
Next time. I mean, I've got so many photos with Liv because we always used to do these. Pretty much, she was like the girl where if she had an idea or I had an idea, it would be like, oh, let's go do it. Like, there would be no like how or like why or any sort of reason to do it. It was just cool. Let's just go and shoot. And that was basically how. She's basically like how I learned how to do a lot of the stuff I do now, because I got to try it with her. No makeup artist on this. Like she does her own makeup because she does do makeup as well. So it's very easy just to kind of work with someone that has like all these skills, and then can just pretty much do whatever she wants.
Yeah, it's nice to have a creative partner like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So, looking at all our pictures now, side by side, it's nice how this week we've actually clearly got 3 different pictures. Not like last week, maybe even the week before. But these are 3 quite distinctively different.
Yeah, we've all kind of, maybe actually since week 2, we haven't actually really done anything that different, where I kind of went for that black and white. Actually, no, week 3 on my picture as well. We all kind of went different styles. Ryan went black and white. You went more contrast and bright, and I kind of went for my more like neo noir
Blade
kind
Runner thingy.
Blade Runner kind of vibe. Yeah. So yeah, when I look at all 3, the thing I notice most, I think Sam, what sticks out for me is your crop, and then just that sort of like that gradient coming in from the top right. That's always going to be like the thing that I see first. And then like with Ryan's, I just see like this like really like contrasty bright, but in a good way, like not like I'm not it's like it's just like it's this really contrasty image where, and then you see mine and it's almost like, oh, this could actually just be like the kind of shot that was just taken out of the camera, right? It could look, mine's very more in that like natural, like, oh, this could just be just a snapshot on a phone kind of shot.
That's it. Phone was
like $4,000 camera
scale. You've got like Sam, yours natural, could have been straight out the camera. Other Sam, halfway in between. You've got that kind of gradient coming in, that light effect, and the color coming through. And then mine is complete other end of the scale, really bright, vibrant, contrasty, highly edited kind of thing. So you've got that whole scale there, haven't you? Of which one would look best? Because to be honest, like I'm looking at mine now and I'm thinking, is it over edited? Is it too much? Is it too bright, too contrasty?
There's such a fine line. There's such a fine line because we're editing not for ourselves, we're editing to an audience. So when we think about what we're editing for other people have very some people like that maybe aren't photographers and things like that, don't necessarily have that eye, so they go straight towards the image. Like they might go towards mine because they're like, oh, that one looks really natural, because they like, some people are like, oh, I wish photos were more natural. But then there's people that would understand your style and then say like, oh my god, like I really love like how you've gone for that contrast look, and that like because like for me, I really like your crop, and your crops have always been the thing that I think are always left in like my mind, like after you've edited my pictures especially. Yeah. I've said that like 5 times now, but like it's true.
Cool.
Yeah. Right. I wouldn't be surprised really, Ryan, if yours ended up doing well again, just because I think a lot of people look at the picture and they want to see something that's edited.
Yeah.
And see that it is edited as well. So that could be the outstanding feature, I think.
Yeah. I'll have to throw everyone off next week and make mine all natural.
Yeah, then they won't know it's yours. Again, like I think we've kind of all done like almost like a bit of a repeat of actually like of last week's episode. Of last week's episode, because I think I've again, like last week I went with editor, so I went with that really like natural, like sort of just shot in camera kind of look. Ryan, last time you took all the color out, and then kind of went like for this image, and then Sam kind of did his gradients.
Well, I did the square crop as well, so yeah.
Yeah, and he did square crop. Yeah. Sam literally just copied and pasted all his settings. And then
genuinely, you could have synced probably the settings from last week onto this photo, and got something pretty similar. To be honest, yeah.
Oh my god,
which isn't good. I don't think that's probably.
And on
that's not what we're aiming for.
To the viewers.
So be sure to head to our Instagram and Facebook page and like this photo with the emojis that are attached. And that way we'll get to know our winner, and then hopefully it will be me. Hey guys. No. Forget everyone else. Something. Oh shit.
You go back to your bunny sleeves like that. Look at all of his fat rolls.
Yeah, because I didn't have to like do 2 masks, but it was overlapping the sliders slightly.
Yeah.
So yeah, just that's just something.
I'll move them this time so they're out of the way. Yeah, right, they're out of the way now. Okay, are we ready? That's definitely got to be an outtake. Yeah?
Yeah. Oh my god, my arms.
You're good at this, Sam.
Fuck you.
I meant that as well. Come on, Spud.
Spud.
She's called. We bought her from a farm, and the farm called her Spud. And then we originally wanted to call her. We wanted to call you Daisy, and then we wanted to call you Molly, something like that. But Spud just stuck. Spud. Spud.
Can you just go pick him up again?
She doesn't really like getting picked up. Do you, Spud? Come on here, Spuddy.
Mine does.
I'll try one more time.
Okay,
hang on.
I'll get it. Literally, I'm just literally like just take the phone as soon as you get the dog. I love how Brutus literally is just like, I love this.
He's asleep anyway.
Yeah, I can see.
Hey, here comes Spud.
Alright.
Oh, did you get it?
Closer to the screen.
Oh, come here, Spuddy. I'll bring the screen closer to Spud. You can see her little paw. She's got a dwarf leg. She's only got 3.5 legs.
What?
You see this paw here is underdeveloped.
Oh wow.
So this is a proper paw.
Yeah.
This is a shit paw. This is why we got her for free from the farm.
Oh.
Because the farm were afraid that she was going to be used for dog baiting, weren't they?
What? Wow.
Yeah. So you were free, and that was still a rip-off.
That's what we say about this one. We rescued dog's trust, and this is what we got.